Forum will next hear the voluntary national review by Zimbabwe, and I invite His Excellency July Moyo, Minister of Local Government and Public Works of Zimbabwe, to make a presentation.
Your Excellency, Madam President, Chairman, I will say a few remarks and then play a video to highlight the various initiatives our government and our people are doing in voluntary national review. The 2024 Voluntary National Review is our third and marks a significant milestone in our nation's resolute journey towards sustainable development. This review underscores our government's unwavering commitment to realizing the sustainable development goals, aligning our national vision of becoming a prosperous upper middle income society by 2030 with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the African Union's Agenda 2063, ensuring synchronization of implementation, monitoring, evaluation, and reporting by government. The 2024 VNR developed through a whole of government and a whole of society approach to sustainable development, involving government and various stakeholders, stands as a testament to the collective effort towards achieving the SDGs. My delegation is composed of these various stakeholders who are in this room. Extensive consultations and validations across the country for in-depth review, consensus building, and mutual ownership were undertaken. Voluntary local reviews and child-led perspectives further ensured a comprehensive view, amplifying the voices of Zimbabweans. We have some highlights. GDP growth increased by 8.5% and 6.5% in 2021 and 2022, respectively, supported by direct interventions in other areas such as agriculture in order to reduce poverty. In terms of social protection, of this 3.8 million vulnerable population, 66% received support in 2023. Food and nutrition security, advances in agricultural transformation in line with food systems transformation. We have harvested 280,000 tons of wheat, surpassing our national requirements of 360,000 tons, and 2.3 million tons of maize against a 1.8 million tons national requirements in 2022. And this year, wheat is going to even be better than what we did last time. Food insecurity notably decreased from 56% to 26% in rural areas and 42% to 29% in urban areas from 2020 to 2023 as a result. Life expectancy rose from 38 years in 2012 because of HIV to 64.7 years in 2022. Maternal mortality ratio reduced per 100,000 mothers from 1,604 in 2014 to 363 in 2022. Primary school completion rate rose from 83% in 2021 to 91% in 2022. And the pass rate in secondary schools rose from 54.7% in 2021 to 69.9% in 2022, in spite of the effects of the COVID-19. There has been increased female leadership participation, which increased from 13% in our last general election in 2018, and last year this increased to 42% in local authorities, after the introduction of the 30% women's quota in our constitution. Youth inclusion, inclusive policies and the programs, which has witnessed increased participation of this group, which is now consisting of 62% of our population in policymaking and development programs. My delegation includes the immediate past president, child president in our country. Disability inclusiveness, we have targeted inclusivity in all employment sectors at 15% for the people with disabilities. However, we still have lots of challenges in some sectors of our economy in accommodating people with disabilities. Assistive devices require investments in producing them locally so that there can be full participation. 62% of the population has electricity coverage, and solar and other green energy is now constituting 12% of solar of national installed capacity. However, when you include hydro, the green energy is over 50%. In addition, we have accelerated empowering 140 independent power producers with licenses and households to install solar and other green energy sources. On industrialization, universities, colleges, and polytechnics have become centers of innovation and industrial parks established across the country. New industries in iron and steel manufacturing, such as the 1.5 billion plant producing 1.2 million tons of steel annually, have been established, and they creating over 3,000 direct employment. But value addition is now in all the industries, particularly in mining. The presidential borehole drilling program targeting 35,000 community villages plus 10,000 school boreholes program is underway in order to improve access to clean energy, to clean water, and overcome impacts of climate change. National Adaptation Plan formulated low-emission development strategies and revised national determined contributions in place, and a commitment to a 40% reduction in per capita greenhouse gas emissions by 2030. Access to carbon credits awareness has increased support for the just transition. There are strong institutions, and in 2022, 87.9% of the population had national identification registration documents, and 78.6% had birth certificates registrations. Our journey is not without challenges. Climate-induced shocks, pandemics, global conflicts, and the unilateral coercive measures imposed on us by some Western powers, which impose restrictions in the global financial architecture. You have seen the country recording an increase in poverty rates. Yes, the need for adaptive mechanisms to ensure a sustainable future. We extend our gratitude to all stakeholders who have supported us in addressing these challenges. In conclusion, our VNR is linked to our VLRs to ensure that no one and no place is left behind. Zimbabwe's 2024 VNR exemplifies our unwavering commitment to sustainable development, rooted in inclusivity, collaboration, and proactive measures to address emerging challenges. By leveraging partnerships and embracing innovative solutions, Zimbabwe aims to build a resilient, equitable, and prosperous future for all citizens in pursuing the SDGs. We now play the video.
Home to over 15 million people, Zimbabwe is thriving for an upper middle income society by 2030. This vision resonates with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which is a shared blueprint for peace, prosperity, and partnerships for the people and the planet. In Zimbabwe, collaboration is key to building a sustainable future. Government, civil society, and the private sector unite, driving sustainable development. In the energy sector, there are over 140 independent power producers in solar, hydro, and biogas, contributing to the national grid. Over 36,000 kilometers of roads have been rehabilitated, connecting even the most remote areas. To improve access to clean water and sanitation, 45,000 boreholes are being drilled, while 273 health facilities have been constructed and expanded, prioritizing infant and maternal health. Despite the El Nino-induced drought, our smart agriculture initiatives aided a record-breaking wheat harvest of 380,000 tons last season. To reduce extreme poverty, village business units have been established. Zimbabwe is currently implementing the third-generation Decent Work Country program, which promotes sustainable economic development that creates high-quality jobs and ensures fair working conditions. Peace, justice, and strong institutions have been strengthened with the establishment of the e-case management system, child-friendly courts, and decentralization of courts. Women in decision-making positions have increased, reaching 42% in councils. The participation of youth, women, and persons with disabilities in development has seen these previously marginalized groups taking the lead in making sustainable development a reality. Through quality and inclusive education, we're empowering young people to become the architects of the future. Their participation in decision-making has sparked groundbreaking and transformative development strategies. We are leaving no one behind. We are leaving no place behind. We move together. Ilizwe lakhiwa ngabanikazi balo.
Nyika inovakwa, igotongwa, igonamatirwa. Never.
A nation is built by its own people.
We thank you.
I thank the Minister of Local Government and Public Works of Zimbabwe and his team for the presentation. And I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Austria, followed by LGBTI stakeholder group.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, Excellencies. We would have a question for Zimbabwe. First of all, we would like to commend you for presenting the VNR for the third time. We think that all the countries who have prepared the VNR this year have done so in a context of multiple crises, particularly the aftermath of COVID-19, but also difficult economic situations, global insecurities, conflicts and crises. And we think that all of these circumstances have posed particular challenges for the principle of leaving no one behind. So against this background, we would like to ask whether you could elaborate a little further on the process that you have employed in compiling the VNR, especially on trying to make the process inclusive and in trying to make sure that those that are most vulnerable and those that are most at risk of being left behind, that those are also taken account of. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of Austria, distinguished representative of Uganda, followed by European Union.
Thank you, Excellency. I'm Norbert Mao, Uganda's Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. We wish to address Zimbabwe. Uganda congratulates Zimbabwe and its people for the excellent VNR report that has just been presented. The lessons and insights in the report are truly invaluable. This points to the interconnectedness between the SDGs. Now to my question. Honorable Minister, how has your country incorporated inputs from voluntary local reviews into the voluntary national review process? And to what extent have you localized the 2030 agenda? Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative, Mr. Minister of Uganda. And now I give the floor to the distinguished representative of Switzerland, followed by Together 2030.
Thank you. Firstly, I would like to congratulate all 4 countries on their presentations of their excellent VNRs. I would like to direct my question towards Zimbabwe. We welcome how inclusively you structured your VNR process and included messages from the voluntary local reviews. Local action is at the heart of achieving the SDGs. So my question is, how is Zimbabwe progressing in integrating decentralization policies to ensure equitable access to resources and services across all provinces and to empower local leaders in decision-making processes? Thank you.
I thank the representative of Switzerland, and now I would like to give the floor to Together 2030, followed by Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia.
Thank you for this opportunity. All protocols are observed. The Zimbabwe civil society acknowledges the government's efforts towards 2030 agenda through NTS 1. However, minimal impact is felt by the people. public investment in crucial sectors falls short, with poverty more than 42%. Free education remains unfulfilled, healthcare is underfunded, and anti-progressive policies, laws, and statutory instruments exacerbate poverty, particularly for women and girls. We therefore ask the government how it plans to address the following issues. SDG 1 and 16 require stronger action. Despite decentralization policies, investment in SDS 1 implementation is lacking. Ending corruption, child marriages, violence against women and girls requires more than policy pronouncements. Destructive policies have marginalized communities, deindustrialized cities, and driven unemployment above 80%. Total consumption poverty line remains high. Past injustices, such as the Mativen genocide and 2008 political violence, need closure for national healing and SDG 3 progress. Endemic corruption in private and public institutions diverts critical resources from critical services. We call for an enabling environment for transformation across all sectors. Zimbabwe's rich natural resources hold immense potential for transformation. The fast-track land reform program has negatively impacted the agricultural sector. Key concerns include security of tenure for land reform beneficiaries and measures for reparations. This, along with the environmental costs of mining, threatens food security and exacerbates poverty. SDGs are interconnected. Shift to informal employment due to agricultural decline and the negative externalities of mining highlight this. We urge investment in youth education, good governance, sustainable development, address of inequalities, and all future challenges. The SDGs, the VNR process is a chance for introspection. We urge the government to prioritize fundamentals for genuine SDG implementation. Thank you.
Thank the distinguished representative of Together 2030. Now I give the floor to His Excellency July Moyo, Minister of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare of Zimbabwe.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank the representative of Australia and the Minister from Uganda and the representative of Switzerland, and lastly, the NGO Together 2030. On the question from Australia, I want to thank you, and Zimbabwe, we are concerned about inclusivity, and we have undertaken our VNR in an inclusive manner, and this is supported by our voluntary local reporting reviews that we have incorporated in our VNR. We have used a bottom-up approach, and we have put a team together, including ministries, civil society, the private sector, and marginalized groups, in line with the whole of government and the whole of society approach. And these were the writers representing all the groups. But there was capacity building workshops for them, so that that we conducted. We equipped stakeholders with knowledge of the VNR process and sustainable development goals. Let me say, without this, there are a lot of people who really don't understand what these SDGs are. So capacity building is necessary in order to include everyone. So that's what we have done. And in order to increase accessibility, media channels facilitating broad awareness and understanding of the VNR progress and outcomes. For Uganda, I'm pleased to say we are working very well with all our 92 local authorities. We have decentralized the system of government, which is at provincial and local authorities. There are 92 of them. We have further decentralized to the wards, and there are 1,970 wards throughout the country, and this is taking place. As you have understood, we have 35,000 villages in the rural areas, and all these are our decentralized structure, which we use for all our VNR, and in order to make sure that there is total participation in no place and no one is left behind. So again, for Switzerland, that's what I can say. We are a decentralized country. Our resources that go to the local authorities, 5% of our budget every year is earmarked to go to local authorities and provincial authorities, so that we can equalize, especially those marginalized areas, through an equalization system that we have developed, which is scientific, and we think that it makes sure that those who are left behind are looked after. is to together, the NGO Together 2030, I want to say the following. The issues that they have raised, corruption, unemployment, fast tracking of land, informality, inequality, these are issues that every country has to face. But in our case, let me say fast track land reform has yielded a lot of results. I've just told you that we are one of the few, if not only two in Africa, who are self-sufficient in wheat production. We are also sufficient in maize production and other traditional crops because of this land reform, where we have given our people the right to till the land. On inequality, yes, our Gini coefficient is not the worst. We are not even in the top 20, those who are having a huge disparity. And we monitor this very closely so that we don't leave anyone behind. And lastly, the informality. Our systems are very informal, and we look to make sure that the informal is now working with organized labor, organized business, and the leadership is in this room. We work towards formalizing that informality so that we can have them participate in the growth of the economy. But this we do in order to make sure that we don't leave anyone and no place behind. So I want to thank Austria as well as those who have asked me these questions. I thank you.
I thank His Excellency Minister of Public Service, Labour, Social Welfare of Zimbabwe.